My biggest concern still to this day is scoring. So, I mean,
Yep.
if you can't score goals, put some great defense in front of your elite goaltender and win games 2-1.
Welcome back to the Old Bull Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast, episode 33. And in honor of that, Larry Bird and everything, I just want to know which one of the other Boston Sports podcasts is coming in second this week, because we are definitely coming in first in this competition. So my dad has our 3 segments that are gonna get us in that first place. Dad, what do we got for him?
Oh, for the love of God, could we please get to the middle of April so we can start some playoff hockey, playoff basketball, draft within reach? Speaking of April, I get Massachusetts had a nice little late April Fools to you guys, dropping a half a foot of snow on you. You
It's
probably only
fine.
got like 3 storms left. Yeah, good job up there. Anyway, so here we are. We're going to start off with the Patriots this week. Once again, the assistants to the regional scout managers are back again. This time, we watched a full game of Jayden Daniels, and we watched him against Alabama, top school, top defense at Alabama. We're going to let you know what we thought of his game. Not just the highlights, the pretty plays. We get to see the ugly parts of it as well, and we'll let you know what we felt about that. And then we're gonna do a little mix and match here with the Bruins and the Celtics. We're both going to preview their potential playoff opponents coming up. There's a lot of options. Nothing is even close to set in stone. Both teams could face anywhere up to 4 different teams. So we're going to give you some pros and cons of whichever team we happen to run against and hopefully stomp in the first round. And then, of course, we're going to jump into Steve's high stakes. The old bull took an L last week, but hey, that happens once in a while. I was on a little streak there, so I'm looking to bounce back this week. And I got a pretty good one for you, so stay tuned for that. So, Matthew, start us off.
Yes, yeah. So we'll jump right into segment number 1, and I'm sure I know the reason why my dad wanted to start off with this, because man, my dad's been singing Jaden Daniels praises. I was actually early on the train, but I fell off of it. And I think a lot of the reason why I fell off of it was because he just seemed too good to be true. Those highlight reel tapes were like video game plays. And now that we've actually sat down and watched a full game of him against a very highly ranked defense, a very good defense in Saban and Alabama, man, do I want him over Drake May? And overall, Dad, I guess you want to any share any thoughts before we get into our red flags and green flags with this guy?
Well, Matt, first off, I need you to take your L, okay?
Yeah,
Because I don't know if you've been
yeah,
keeping up with mock drafts lately. There is almost no shot that this guy slips to us. He's almost a
that's true.
consensus number two, unfortunately. And it's a bummer. I don't think we're getting this guy. And yeah, I had him number three. You were hyping him up. Then we watched the highlights, and I said, oh man, I actually, when we came back after an analysis, I bumped him to number one. If you remember in that
Yeah,
podcast,
you
that was
did
a
over
while
Caleb
back.
Williams.
And after watching this hot take, I would still take him over Caleb Williams right now, number one overall. I mean, who knows? It's lying season, so everything's leaning towards Jayden Daniels going to Washington ahead of us. Hopefully, they're just fibbing. I don't know. We'll have to see. And they take May. But the good news is we saw enough of May. I mean, if he's a consolation prize, that's a pretty damn good
Yeah,
consolation prize. And one more thing, Matt, I missed one of my green flags. He was awesome, Drake May, in running the hurry up in that game. Holy cow. He caught them in like 3 delay of game penalties of defense and made them call timeouts. He was amazing at running the hurry up. So I forgot to add that in there. That was
yeah,
another plus for Jayden. So again, we don't get Daniels. Perfectly fine with taking May.
yep, yeah. And I think what really made me realize that Daniels is probably going number 2 is Schefter came out today and he said that all signs are pointing to Washington taking Daniels at number 2, and there's really no reason for him to lie about that. We all know Chicago's taking Williams. They didn't even take a meeting with Daniels. They haven't met with May or Daniels. They're just full steam ahead. So Washington's going to take whoever the heck they want, and it sounds like from Schefter that Daniels is going to be a Washington Commander. So my condolences to him. And we're probably going to get May, but yeah, moving on to Daniels. So my first green flag with Daniels was that he had a lot more zip on his ball, I think noticeably so, especially in the tight windows. He had a few passes where there needed to be a lot of timing between him and his wide receiver, and he put it sometimes behind the wide receiver, and it was a good thing. It was actually what needed to happen to, get in that gap in the coverage, that zone in the coverage. So that's one of my green flags.
So, again, too, let's not completely poo-poo this. Maybe the Patriots pull a boss move and move up one spot with Washington. Maybe they give Washington, second rounder next year or something like that,
It's
or to
going to
move
take
up one
first next
spot.
year, probably.
I, God, I don't want to do that, but man, I mean, you never know. So again, it's flying season. Who knows who wants? Maybe the Patriots make a bold move. So don't, I put maybe 10% chance we get this guy, but you never know. So we'll see. So, my biggest green flag with this guy is, man, a lot of the problems with mobile quarterbacks, what stereotypes them constantly is they're always labeled with this. They always look to run first. They always look to run too soon,
Yep.
right? They don't let the play develop downfield. Wow. He looked like a 10-year NFL vet to me. He sits back. He doesn't have pressure. He's just
Yeah.
hopping, scanning the field, fires the ball. He gets the pressure from any way. He looks to the last second, and then he just knows that I can
He
wait till
could
this
outrun
guy gets
everybody.
like
Yeah.
foot within me, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
So he's always looking to pass first, which I love. And man, he knows exactly when to run. And when he does, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, it is just like, what is
Fast and
going
everybody
on?
out there. Fast and everybody.
It it just like you said earlier, it looks like a video game. It just looks like everybody else is running in mud while he's on roller skates. It's insane. So, I mean, it's no shock that, once you dig into the film, everyone's bumping this guy up ahead of May. And, hey, I hope Chicago knows what they're doing, taking Caleb Williams, because man, did I love the way he already looked like an NFL veteran,
Yeah.
knowing exactly when to stay in the pocket, when to let his
Yep.
receivers make their breaks, and when to just bail out. And when he does, what a show.
Yeah. And I think you actually hit the nail on the head. You stole one of my green flags, and that was this guy was supposed to be somebody who breaks the pocket, and he was not. He stayed there, like you said, like a vet. If anything, we saw a lot more unnecessary pocket breaking from Caleb Williams. Um, so my next green flag, because there's going to be a lot more green flags than red flags for me here, or yellow flags. My next green flag for him was something that I think sets him apart from Caleb Williams. And I can't poo poo Caleb Williams too much because I didn't watch too much film, but he actually threw an interception. And I don't know if you saw that interception, but he was immediately going and tackling the guy. He didn't break down. He didn't have a little mental fit like, what's it called? Mac Jones, right? He's not crying on the sidelines like Caleb Williams. He was like, I made him. Actually, I think it was a tip ball. So I mean,
Yeah.
kind of his
Yeah.
fault, kind of not. But immediately getting in there, making that tackle. I think that was my favorite plays of his. It's, of course, you don't want your quarterback going and tackling people like that, but it just showed leadership. It showed, a winner. That's a winner to me. I mean, that's something Brady would do, like the classic Brady, diving. It's not the Cam Newton backing up away from the ball against the Broncos. So that was one of my green.
Yeah. I know. Absolutely agree with that. And I didn't even catch on to that. So I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
I like that he's tough and he's a football player. When he gets to the NFL, do not want him doing that.
don't want him
I
doing it.
want him
Yeah,
running in the other direction if he's on the Patriots. I don't care. Let the guy score a touchdown unless the
yeah,
game is
yeah,
literally
yeah,
gonna
yeah. You know what I
we're
mean?
gonna lose. So
Intangibles,
I
intangibles.
do.
Yeah.
But I do. I definitely like that over the other two personalities you mentioned. Absolutely. One more thing too is I felt so bad for the LSU actual running backs. Because I feel like if they just basically let Daniel sit in the shotgun in every single play and let him either throw or just let him run when the play breaks down, he had like 200 rushing yards just from sitting in the pocket and deciding, no, nothing's there. I'm going to run. And
Yeah,
like the difference between him running the ball and the poor regular running backs was like
yeah,
jarring. Like I feel bad for those poor
I
kids. But
know.
anyway, so the other green flag for me was just the accuracy. He he like Drake May, he also had 3 drops.
Yeah,
Drake Mays were more impressive because they came late in the game and won in overtime, where it could have broke most quarterbacks, and he bounced back. But he had 3 drops throughout the earlier parts of the game, and he always bounced back. And here's the thing: if he doesn't have those 3 drops, he passes for like 80% completion percentage. Like
yeah,
that on the road against Alabama, I mean, that is damn impressive. His passing, like you said, Matt, he knew when to zip it in there. He knew when to put some air under it. He had one instance, the first touchdown of the game, where the other kid who's going to be taken super high, that wide receiver, I forgot his name,
neighbors.
where
Yep,
he just burst by his guy and get open.
yep. Nice post
He
route.
didn't just like
Yep.
panic. He didn't panic like, oh, he's wide open. He just set his feet and he put a little extra air under it so he could just slow down a little bit
A little bit,
and
not even
go
not a lot.
perfectly
He
under the
slowed down
ball.
a little bit, and that's what I
Just a
noticed. Yeah,
tiny bit.
yeah.
It was just to make sure that you can tell, like, oh my goodness, he's literally open by 15 yards and he just
Yeah. Don't mess
perfectly,
this up.
did
Yeah.
not panic.
Composure.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, man, oh, like I struggle to come up with some red flags. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
and it was pretty to watch. So that was my
Yeah.
other green one. Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, I think one of my very few red flags was he wasn't as automatic at the passes to the routes out of the backfield as Drake May was. Drake May was just like could have walked up and handed it to the guy and would have, put just perfect placement. Daniels had a few times when he threw it behind the guy or, it wasn't that if I'm nitpicking, that's something that I noticed. His short kind of got to have it easy throws were not as reliable as May if we're comparing the two.
Yeah, I mean that's fair to say. I felt that way as well. Also, I was like, oh, that's uh, that's one that Tom Brady does in his sleep. We get
Yeah.
all get out of that because Tom Brady's not walking through that door, as we
Yeah.
know. So yeah, one of my red flags is he's pretty good at knowing when to surrender when he runs. He's still not great at it.
No.
He there was one up. He put himself in one situation where he tried to get like an extra yard, and I don't know why, because he wasn't doing that all game. He tried to get an extra yard, and the defensive back literally pulled a WWE wrestling move on him. He
Yeah.
grabbed him, he
And just
swung him around
like a rag doll.
into his own teammate, like a tag team championship
Yeah.
match,
Yeah.
and like flattened him. I'm like, that is where you got the first down. You get a lot
Slide.
of yards on that play. Slide, kid.
Yeah.
Slide. Live
That guy
to
grabbed him
live
by
to
the back
fight
and just
another day.
whipped him. He was
He
gone.
did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he spun him around right into his teammate. His own
Yeah.
like the guy was ready with an elbow practically. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And he got back up. And the play that knocked him out of the game at the end too. Kind of not his fault. Game's on the line. He's sticking in there, making a throw. The guy did a cheap shot. He just
Oh,
absolutely
he
helmet to
drove him in the
helmet
ground.
contact.
Yeah.
All
Everything.
that stuff. Like it was definitely a cheap shot. I don't know if the game's not on the line. Does he maybe just throw it away and live
Eh,
to fight another day? He, but if you want to be a NFL quarterback and you want to stay in the game, Tom Brady's not doing that. You know that. He's chucking that thing out of bounds and he's living to fight another day. Again, unless the game's on the line. You didn't see Brady take too many major hits right when he's throwing the ball because he was just really smart about that. It's gutsy, it's noble, but in today's NFL, you don't want that.
yeah. Yeah. And I think, the other, I think more of a like a yellow flag would be his wide receivers were absolutely amazing. Like, man, like the hands on these guys. Neighbors had a catch on the outside. Man, it's like it makes me want to trade our first and second next year to get into the top
Yeah.
10 to take him and Neighbors because
Mhm.
man, that kid is gross. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. 's special, but I think that kid's going to be taken shortly after. Um, Great body control, and the other guy, I forget what his name is, like Thomas or something. His last name. He was another. So he does have excellent weapons. He did have that one really well timed pass for a touchdown to like a kid with the name Lacey or something like that. I don't even know if that guy is.
Yes, that
Yeah,
was a great one.
and that
Absolutely,
wasn't one of the
yeah.
big weapons. That was good. And the
Yeah,
Taylor guy, you mentioned one of the drops. He had a really bad drop, and he did go back to him shortly after that. It didn't get the first down, but he still didn't give up on the kid, even though the guy
yeah.
dropped an easy one. So yeah, I think that's everything I had on Jayden Daniels, at least flag wise. What do you got?
Yeah, man, I would do that trade in a second, by the way. And I think it's almost realistic. Like, right, if you get down to like 8 to 10 and he's
And
still
he's still on the
there,
board. Yeah, and you have Jayden
a
Daniels.
team might a team might take our one next year knowing it's going to be high and our second next year as well. That's going to be high too. And you know
Yeah,
what? I would do it. You get that game breaking wide receiver and the quarterback all at once. Holy cow. Guaranteed for really 7 years because you could
yeah.
franchise them 2 years. But, man, hopefully Elliot Wolf's listening to that. I would sign off on that sucker any day of
This
the
is why
week.
this is
Absolutely.
why we are the assistants to the regional scout managers. We just come up with this stuff on the fly. You know, we're idea guys.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
but,
Yes.
yeah. So, any other Jayden Daniels thoughts, Dad?
Uh, I, man, it was so pretty to watch. I just don't,
We should have done it.
I
We
just
should have
don't,
done
I
it.
didn't, I mean, it's like there's not many red flags to just choose from. He did throw into double coverage twice, which I wasn't crazy about. Again, it was getting kind of late in the game, so he might have been forcing it a little bit, but still, like, I did see two double coverage
Yeah.
throws. Wasn't crazy about that.
Well,
It's just
I know
his
you're used
skill is
to.
just
Mac Jones waiting for triple coverage before he throws. So
yeah,
you probably wanted him to wait till it was more obvious interception. But yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean,
I think we covered him.
his physical his physical tools are just so unmatched. I remember one time when I wrestled a giraffe to the ground with my bare hands,
I have a
and
green belt. Read it and weep.
I don't believe in belts. There should be no ranking system for toughness. But one time I wrestled a giraffe to the ground with my bare hands.
It's not true, Dale. Don't be ridiculous.
and his ability is almost to par with that. It's
It's true.
impressive.
That's true. I remember that.
Yeah,
That was
he's
peak. That
pretty
was
good.
peak Steve. So
I think
yeah,
you were
I
like
think
3, and yeah, you remember it
yeah,
because it was traumatizing. Yeah, the poor giraffe. I had to put him down. Yep.
baby stuffed giraffe. So yeah, let's move on to segment number 2. Man, I guys, it's tough, and I know it's tough for the players, but like my dad said, we're in the dog days of the year. The Celtics could send me out there and we would finish the number 1 seed in the entire NBA at this point. Um, my dad talked about, what should they do for the last few games and everything like that, but there's really no right answer there. I think at this point it's okay to start looking forward because losing or winning from this point on doesn't matter. It's about staying healthy and staying in a rhythm. So looking forward, we have 4 teams currently in the 7 through 10 seed. And those of you who don't know, the NBA has a play in, and that play in, they have the team who wins once in that play in. So I think so right now the Heat are number 7. So the Heat will wait to play. Um,
No, no,
9
no.
and 10.
The Heat play 8.
Heat
The
play
Heat
8. My
play
bad.
8
Yep.
at Miami, and the loser of that game hosts the next game. So
Okay.
you can still lose that game and still be in. The the winner out of 9 and 10 play the loser from 7 and 8 on the
Gotcha.
road.
Yep. Yeah. So whoever wins the
Yeah.
7-8 game will just be in the playoffs. That'll be the 7 seed. We will not be facing
It'll be the
them
7
for sure.
seed. Yes.
Yeah. Whoever wins when between the 8 and the 9 and 10, and the winner of the 8, 9, and 10 will be the 8 seed. So right now, that could be any of these teams. Heat, 76ers, Bulls, and Hawks. The Heat and 76ers, um, I'm pretty nervous about both these teams. Both these teams are really turning it on as of late. Jimmy Butler is known to, I forget who said it. It might have been Josh Hart or somebody.
Playoff Jimmy, whatever.
Yeah,
No.
playoff Jimmy. Jimmy's doing side quests all year, and then playoff time comes, and he really steps up and becomes a superstar. And poo poo on the Heat all you want this season. Jimmy is more of a winner to me than freaking Doncic. I know everyone's on Doncic's jock, but
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy's a winner, and he's tough to see in the playoffs, especially with Spoelstra. Spoelstra's really good. So overall, Dad, out of these 4 teams, Bulls, Hawks, 76ers, Heat, who do you want to see? Who's your ideal opponent?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd love to face the Bulls or the Hawks. Don't let
Yes.
those 2 games against the Hawks fool you. We will curb stomp those 2 if we actually try the whole game. I don't care if Trey Young's back, any of that crap. We would just dispose of the Hawks in 4 games, and all 4 will be blowouts. Mark my words. The Bulls, same thing. You know, they're just not even close to our level. They're below 500. Uh, we've just toyed with them all game, all year as well as most teams. So I would love those 2. I don't. There's like no cons to playing either one of those. Now there's only pros. As far as the Sixers and the Heat, they're the team that I do not want to face. I had a hot take here. It's the Sixers. I don't want to face the Sixers. And
Yeah.
they have Embiid back. He's played the last 2 games. He looks winded, but he's played well. He's put up good points. He's shooting well. So I'm sure they're going to use the rest of the games this regular season to get him a little more back into shape. He probably won't be as good a shape as he was in earlier in the year, but still, it doesn't really matter at this point. But my hot take that I told you about, we play the Heat, we sweep them. And I said that early in the year, Matt. I think right when the Celtics were starting,
Yep.
before the season started, they will sweep that team. They're not as good as last year. Butler and Adebayo is a year older, and after the embarrassment they endured, I mean, they have to have enough pride to just not let any crap like that come close to happening. And they're gonna find, without those black holes shooting the ball like Marcus Smart, where you can't leave anyone open now on the Celtics team, they're gonna find that shutting down Tatum and Brown like they did last year is gonna be a lot harder. So I actually don't mind if we play the Heat. I think the games will be tighter. We won't blow them out like we would the Hawks and the Bulls, but
Yep.
I still feel like we'll sweep them where we play the 76ers. It's probably going to be 5 tough games, maybe even 6. So that's
Yeah.
my take on the first round. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. I think 76ers, it's tough, right? Because I don't know if have you watched Embiid play?
I have not. No, I've just seen the
So
box score. Yeah.
yeah, so I've watched Embiid play, and man, I don't understand how teams are not exploiting his energy level. There was one point where he got a rebound, he passed it, and he let his team go on a break, 4-on-5, and the other team gave up a transition 3, and he literally stood underneath his own hoop with his hands on his knees and just breathed.
Wow.
Um, he is
Yeah.
he's taken a ton, at least when I watched, he was taking a lot of threes in the first quarter, which he usually saves for the third quarter when he's gassed. Um, but teams still aren't. I mean, they're not making him run. They're not making him move around. I'm curious to see if Ime could come up with a scheme against him. But I think you're right. When it comes to star power, giving us trouble, 76ers are probably it. The Hawks are probably less scary if Young comes back, because he is a
Oh,
cone on defense, and we would just exploit
yeah.
him. Um, the more of those big wings they have in Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, those guys on the floor, the worse for us. And Trey Young and Murray being out there is just like two players we can just bully.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Donovich, he's a cone too. Don't
yeah,
forget that.
exactly.
Oh,
So
goodness.
not too worried about them. And then, the Heat, as long as it doesn't get in the player's head. I'm also curious, how did Porzingis do this year against the Heat? I'm trying to remember, but I know one game he sat out. Uh,
He wasn't
but
great the first game against Adebayo. It was like the first time they played very early in the year. I remember Adebayo get the better of him. I know he definitely sat out at least one other game against the Heat. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head if he played another one.
he didn't do bad, I think, at any game. He went 17 points, 19 points, and 25 points. He actually scored more and more points as the time went on. 10 rebounds. He had 2 blocks in one. So I think Porzingis adds a layer of complexity to our team that really gives the Heat a lot of fits. And, it really comes down to, are the Heat going to be dirty and hurt the guy? So that'll be interesting. Now, all right, let's say we handle business. We smoke or deal with whoever we deal with. Being the 1 seed, I think that means that we would then face the winner of the 4 and 5 seed. Now, there's still games left to go. Right now, that's the Magic and the Knicks. Julius Randle has been announced as out for the season. And OG Anunoby, there's been rumors. I think Josh Hart came out and said, we got to play as if those guys are not coming back. And he said that before Randle wasn't coming back. OG might not be coming back, which makes me want to play the Knicks rather than the Magic. Because the Magic, we did handle business pretty well against them this season, but they are starting to, kind of come alive these last few weeks. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And historically they've, kind of turned it on against us. So how do you feel that Knicks or Magic? I'd say I'd rather face the Knicks.
I mean, if OG's not going to be there, definitely the Knicks. No doubt about it. Uh, I don't know. Even if OG's playing without Randall, I still might. Yeah, I think I'd rather play the Magic in that case if OG's back. That we were concerned because the Celtics were just having a hard time with Orlando, right? Last year and then the
Yeah.
beginning of this year. And then it was finally like they woke up and they stopped being embarrassed. And they were like, enough of this garbage. They went to Orlando 2 games in a row and just crushed them
Yep.
both games. Like we're sick of hearing about this and we're sick of these guys. So even though they've been better lately, Orlando, I'm sure they're still too young. It's why I'd rather see the Thunder, not to jump ahead, but I'd rather see the Thunder in the finals than Denver, just because the Thunder are young and youth and lack of experience usually catches up with you in NBA playoffs. It's not like the other leagues. So, you
Yep.
know, I would probably rather face Orlando unless OG's out too. And then, I mean,
Yeah.
just poor Brunson on an island by himself, then I would rather face the Knicks.
Yeah. And I mean, after that, it would be, the Cavaliers might fall. The Magic are doing so well. The Cavaliers are only, I think, a half a game
Yeah.
ahead of them in the standings. So we could end up facing the Cavaliers. So, yeah, overall, the only team the Celtics need to worry about is the Celtics, because that's the only team that can beat the Celtics. If they screw themselves,
Yeah.
if they keep playing ISO ball, don't move the ball. Just a quick anecdote: they played against the Pelicans. Dad, did you end up watching that game?
Oh, yeah.
The
Yep.
difference in the end of the game in the ball movement, getting Derek White and Porzingis on a pick and roll on that left hand side, right? The ball wasn't sitting at the top of the logo until there was 10 seconds left, and then it was a bunch of dribbling. That's what we want to see. I don't know, and I think Scal mentioned this a lot, especially with their last game against who are they playing? The Hornets? Who are they playing?
No, the Thunder.
The Thunder. Yeah, last game against the Thunder. Like Scal's like, I wonder if they're trying new things because they're not pushing the ball like they usually do. So maybe they're just trying new things out, and that's why they freaking blew it out sideways against Atlanta in that big loss. Now,
Yeah, I mean, Matt, basically all of those predictions you and I had about the Celtics at the beginning of the year, they're just simply coming true. You remember we did the segment where we compared the 86 Celtics to 2008 and this year's Celtics as far as talent goes.
Yep.
And, you know, as much as much as it killed me, I had this team more talented than my 86 beloved 86 Celtics. And, you know, so far, obviously they haven't completed the most important part, but so far, I mean, it's right. They basically are going to be around that Celtics win total, but here's why it's more impressive, right? Back in those days, there was like no such thing as more than three teams that could win the championship, pretty much. It was always the Celtics, Lakers, and the Houston Rockets, and there was no other team. The rest of the league was just so watered down, and it was like practice games for those three teams, pretty much. It just wasn't much. The Sixers were okay at times. You know, they would push the Celtics, but for the most part, that was the case. The league's not like that anymore. Now, going into this year, everyone had the Celtics as the favorite, but there was about how many teams, Matt? If you had said before the year started, before everyone even knew the Celtics going to be this good, if you said they're going to win the championship, you'd be like, I wouldn't be shocked. Like,
Yeah.
I could see that. How many? I mean, if you go over the teams, there's probably close to 10. The NBA has never been like that. The NBA has never been better. It used to be back in those days, you had one star, and if you had two, it was amazing. That's why the
Yeah.
Celtics and the Lakers dominated because they had three of them. Nobody had more than one star, pretty much. It was always, you know,
Yeah.
two
The
stars, one star. Now
yeah,
it's just
the
every
skill
team has at least,
the skill
exactly. The
parity is
skill is
crazy.
so high now.
Yeah, and that's like you can't roll up to Houston and just smack them now. They have this young talent across the NBA. It's probably one of the best times to ever watch the NBA because every team has an exciting, electrifying player. So I totally agree, Dad. And I think now we should probably give some love to our ice buddies. And those are the Boston Bruins. So as of filming this episode, Marchand just had his 400th goal. Or was that 300th? I forget
Yeah,
which one. 400th
400,
goal.
400.
We beat the Carolina Hurricanes. Good statement win against a possible playoff opponent, down the line. Now the Bruins right now are giving up the game against the Rangers. The Rangers have a point on them. So if everything stays the way it is, they should anticipate to play against the Lightning.
Ugh,
And the Lightning right now they're going streaking.
yeah.
They just won a game 7-4 against the Canadiens. The Canadiens kind of suck, so we can't give them too much credit. But I think they're 8-1-1 or something like that in their last 10.
Yeah.
The Bruins against the Lightning. It looks like we lost in November to them in an overtime game in their house. We won in our house 7-3. We lost and we lost, so we're 1-3 against these guys. We put up some goals. No, we don't really put up that many goals. Our last game we only put up one. They've kind of had our number. Vasilevsky's back. He's kind of doing his thing. I'm kind of nervous about the Lightning, Dad. What are your thoughts?
So, not as much as I used to be. I used to want to avoid them like the plague, but they're still a concern. They're not anywhere near the powerhouse they were. They're a little older, but they're still dangerous, and I still want nothing to do with them. And oh goodness, like again, another awesome regular season. And I tell you too, we were all a little concerned playing Florida last year because they were on fire going into the year.
Yeah.
And the year before, they were like the first or second team in the league in points, right? So they were really good the year before. They didn't win the cup. They were like one of the top two teams in the league. And then last year, they were going into the playoffs on fire. And it's
Most
like,
important thing about hockey.
we're,
Going into
we're going to
playoffs.
beat them. Yeah, we're going to beat them. But man, I can't believe we get stuck with these guys. And of course, we end up losing. So it's like, here we go again. I mean, it's like Bruins, could they have rested some guys, took a few losses, and we'd have an easier opponent. We end up with the Lightning. Oh, that is just so discouraging after all the work we put in
Yeah.
for seeding, I guess, and winning our division. Congratulations, you played the Lightning in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a chance, right? So
Oh,
the Leafs
yeah.
do have a game in hand. They're 2 points up on the Lightning. The Lightning just absolutely smacked them. I wonder if the Lightning and Leafs have any more games against each other. I think that would be important. They did just play each other.
I
They
would
do have a
love to
game
play
at
the
the end of the
Leafs.
season. At the end of the
They
season, the
do,
Lightning
okay.
play Lightning and Leafs play.
Fingers crossed. We end up with the Leafs over the Lightning, that's for sure. I mean, I
And
would
the Leafs
love
have
the last team, but I don't think we're catching the Rangers. 1 point ahead of us, a game ahead of us. They got the tiebreaker because they beat us more
yeah.
this year. That's going to be tough to leapfrog them. So, and our schedule's tough coming up. We had a nice win tonight against Carolina, but I think we have another game against Florida. Another game against Carolina is probably going to want revenge. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the Lightning have a pretty easy schedule. Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ottawa, Washington, Buffalo, and then the Leafs.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
yeah. The Leafs have kind of a cupcake schedule as well. Where are the Red Wings? Oh, the Red Wings are the Red Wings are so they have Canadiens who just got slapped by the Lightning. Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Detroit. Then they have Florida and Tampa. So we'll see how that goes. The other possibility is we leapfrog the Rangers, which means we've really got to turn it on these last few games and keep winning. And we would end up facing either the
That'd be
Capitals,
nice.
Islanders, or Flyers. So against the Capitals this year, so far we've split with them. We do have one more game coming up in 11 days. First game we faced them in February. They actually shut us out. Second game we beat them in a shootout, which is actually just like 5 days ago. So the Capitals really aren't a walk in the park for us either, Dad. What do you think?
I don't feel the Capitals. I just don't. I mean, they're just so old and they're just not what they used to be. Ovechkin's still pretty good, but I just don't fear them. We beat them, in our cup run a couple of years ago, and I just don't. I'll take them any day of the week over the Lightning. Give me the Capitals. Absolutely, give me the Flyers. Man, I would love that. Detroit, if they were to sneak in, love that as well. So any of those bottom feeded teams, even the Leafs, I'll take my chances with any of them. And we should still beat the Lightning. We just
Yeah,
should. We are better than them, top to bottom. So but they've just had our numbers for years, and man, can we just get out of the first round, you know,
please.
and not have it be a dogfight? Oh man, if we have to suffer through two first round exits 2 years in a row after the two regular seasons we've had, oh, talk about torture.
Yeah, yeah, especially with the kind of life cycle of this roster. This is a very important year. We're waiting for the wheels to fall off. Similar to when Tom Brady was getting older. Father Time is undefeated. This team can't keep getting away with this, right? So, I mean, a lot of the younger talent's doing well. But what do you got, Dad?
And by the way, the defensive lineup that I want going into the playoffs played the other day against. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Sorry, I don't mean to
Oh,
bore you.
I
You all
know,
right?
right?
You need a little
Put me to
nappy?
sleep.
You need a little
That's what that
Bubba?
defensive lineup
A little
does.
teddy bear?
No goals. It's a boring time when that defensive lineup's out there. That's what happens. Makes
You
people tired.
kids, and all you want is goals. They played him against Nashville at Nashville, a good team, and blanked those suckers. That's my lineup I want. And they sacked Rizek. They put in Shattenkirk, Peak, Carlo. Unfortunately, put him on the third pair. You got to just bury him. Lindholm and McAvoy, and they goose egged those guys. So unfortunately, Grezik was back in the lineup tonight. I think Lowride might even played. I think Lowride
Lowry did
played
not
too.
play today.
So
He did not play tonight.
no, not today.
Lowry
In the
played.
game I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
Lowry did play in the game you're talking about.
So you know, I mean, but unfortunately, Grezik played tonight, and they got a nice
Yeah.
win. So I don't know.
Listen, don't forget Grizzlick's contributions. He had 2 giveaways and no shots. So can't forget that with 15 minutes of time on ice. Lowry had 2 shots, a block shot, 2 penalty minutes. He did have two giveaways. So, I mean,
Man, and look at Peak's line. His line this I
4
think
block
4
shots,
hits
4 hits. Yep. 5 block shots
and
against the net Predators and 2 hits. Peak.
boom.
I'm that guy has really turned out to be a diamond in the rough. And who said we were not going to have a big trade deadline? We got a 1D defenseman out of that trade deadline.
He better be in the top 4. He better be. That's for sure. That's all and what
Young too.
and Maroon's coming back soon too. He's been practicing.
He was on the
So, gonna
plane.
get some beef out there.
Yeah, Pasternak took a video of like their plane, and Pat Maroon was on there. So yeah, maybe someone come in. I mean, the hope is that we can generate offense so that guys like Peak can be the stone wall on defense, and we don't have to generate offense from our defensive line too much. Like you said, it's kind of scary how much we're relying on Pasternak. So we definitely need other guys to step up and let our defensemen play defense.
And who had another beautiful pass to Heinen tonight. Pasternak is becoming a sneaky passer, like really good. I'm loving that part of his game. So, but my thinking is with our elite goaltending, if we could just have a solid defense in front of him, even if it means slightly less goals without puck moving Grizzly, that's just the way to go in the playoffs. So I'm hoping they catch on to that and they do it. I don't think they are. I think they're still going to play Grizzly, unfortunately. I know they're going to play Carlo, even though I don't want him out there. And they're not going to play Lowry in the playoffs, but, because my biggest concern still to this day is scoring. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if you can't score goals, put some great defense in front of your elite goaltender and win games 2-1, 3-2. So,
Yep.
we'll see. It's
Yep.
coming up, though, baby. Coming
Yeah.
up soon.
I know the Bruins.
Yeah.
The Bruins list of games, 5 games left. So very exciting for that. I'm excited for that. April's
And
gonna.
the old man is single at the perfect time. That's it. Shutting off the women. Sorry, ladies, you're out. Beat
Yep.
it. All
Gotta
right.
focus on.
So,
Gotta
can't
focus on
talk.
the
Celtics on tonight. Bruins on tonight. Oh, drafts on tonight. Heck yeah,
Bruins,
baby.
Bruins and Celtics.
I tell you what, Matt. If the Patriots end up drafting JJ McCarthy number 3, not even on a trade down, number 3, and we don't get a Celtics or Bruins championship this June, we might have to shelve the podcast for a little bit because I'm serious. We might have
Yeah.
I'm not saying retire it. If those 3 things happen, I'm serious. We're just gonna come on dejected. Like for what? Even when the regular season starts for the Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, great. Patriots think like we thought, and they don't have the quarterback of the future. Bruins and Celtics are doing great like they always do. But I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh God, please, baby Jesus that we were talking to last week, sweet baby Jesus with your curly blonde hair. Please let at least one of those things happen. We get our quarterback or we get a championship this June.
Listen, Porque no los tres. I want all 3. There's no reason we shouldn't get all 3.
I want all 3 too. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's the JJ McCarthy stuff is all smoke and mirrors. If anyone ever feels like watching why you should never bring up JJ McCarthy's name, send me a message on Facebook. I'll send you a link of JJ McCarthy's
Yes.
highlights against Alabama. Holy smokes, does he suck? And you know what's funny is people are like, oh yeah, he does suck. He's like another Mac Jones. No, Mac Jones was way better than that loser in college. So I guess I shouldn't call him
He
loser.
was.
He did win the national championship, but Mac Jones was a way better quarterback than
So
JJ
did
McCarthy.
Mac Jones did win too. He won
Yeah.
the national championship.
Yeah.
So
So
what the heck does that mean? It obviously means nothing.
JJ McCarthy, doesn't matter how tall he is, how much he weighs at the combine, nothing. That guy, he's a lifetime center. I mean, backup, maybe like a Taysom Hill role if he can catch a football occasionally, but not the quarterback of the future for the Patriots. That's all smoke and mirrors. Nobody actually thinks that in Foxborough. I'm going to give them way more credit than that. It's not going to happen.
Oh, I hope so too. I really do. Otherwise, yeah, call the doctor. I'm gonna need some
Did,
therapy. But anyway, high
wait, really
stakes.
quick.
We done high stakes?
No, we haven't done high stakes, but really quick. Did you read? Am I crazy or was there a report that Elliot Wolf was like pushing for JJ? Am I
Yes.
crazy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So maybe I shouldn't, but I don't know. That could just be smoke and mirrors too. Unless Elliot comes out and says it himself. We'll see. Well, go ahead, Dad. Go ahead. Steve's high stakes. Let's move out of the negative zone. Let's get in the high stakes. Make some
Well,
money.
that would just prove another one of our points from earlier in the year that Wolf not hiring a real GM was a complete disaster if he actually does that. I mean, he should be fired as soon as Kraft finds out. Like, wait, you're gonna take him number 3? No, like right. I don't care if it's literally 5 minutes before the draft. Fire that guy. But anyway, so the old Bulls took a loss last week in high stakes. The Lakers were actually up. The point spread was 12. There's this thing called a backdoor cover. It usually happens in football, right? You're winning, you got nice little cushion, but the team gets a junk touchdown at the end of the game. The other team, because half the defense is sitting and they're in prevent, and they get the stupid touchdown and make just cover. It's called a backdoor cover, and you lose. Basically, that version of that happened in basketball. The point spread was 12. The Lakers were up by 16 with 2.5 minutes left. They sat Davis, LeBron, everybody, and then they lost the lead so bad they almost had to put those guys in. The lead got down to 5 in the last 2.5 minutes. So they ended up squeaking out the win by 5. Fortunately, we were up, but we lost. But anyway, can't win them all. So this week, all right, Sunday night is the game. I like the Pacers at home against the Heat. So here's the deal, right? You know how I love the Heat? They're going to be on 3 games in 4 nights. You know I love that, traveling on the road. But the Pacers, they're starting to play better lately, and they're in danger of falling into the play-in bracket, and they
Yes.
don't want to do that. So this is a big game. The Heat are right behind it. So this is a huge game. It's at home for them. The points, it's probably going to be close to even because the Heat need that game as well. I
Yep.
just like the paces in that. They got coming off more rest at home. So whatever, jump on that point spread as long as Hillenbert's not out or anything like that. Whatever it is, and ride those paces Sunday night.
Heck yeah. I like it. So yeah, that's Steve's high stakes. Hopefully we can win some money this weekend with that game on Sunday. And yeah, I mean, man, actually, as a Celtics fan, maybe I want to see that. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot to talk about. There's so much hypotheticals right now where, there's so many moving parts. We're really excited to see how this all fleshes out when stuff starts to lock in. Too bad not every other team is locked in like the Celtics have been for the last 3 weeks in their seeds, because a lot of guessing games. So I think that's the podcast, Dad. Any final thoughts?
No, that's it. I think we covered just about everything.
All right, everybody. Hope everybody has a good long weekend. And I know my dad said we got snow up here in Massachusetts, but next week it's in the 50s and 60s. It's back to probably the perfect weather. So let's all enjoy that. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their day. All right. Bye-bye.
Love you, everyone. Thank you for the shares. Take care.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, where to begin?